Right then, in this video we're going to be taking a look at what happens when you drive through the Dartford tunnel the wrong way. So this here is the Dartford Bridge, which is part of the Dartford crossing. As well as the bridge, there's also two tunnels. The tunnels are for heading northbound and the bridge is for heading southbound. The two tunnels each have 2 lanes, so a total of 4 lanes heading north, and the bridge has 4 lanes, so a total of 4 lanes heading south. So then, if you're heading to the Dartford crossing heading northbound, initially you start on the M25, but it stops becoming a motorway by the time it reaches the Dartford crossing. So often people mistakenly refer to the Dartford crossing as part of the M25 when it's not. In fact, the M25 is often mistakenly referred to as a circular motorway, despite the fact it isn't, because the Dartford crossing is not part of the M25. When heading northbound, you're heading up the road here towards the Dartford crossing, then you head to this bit here which used to be toll booths but has now been automated with ANPR. You then head along to the tunnels, which are here. If you've got a hazardous vehicle, you have to take your vehicle onto this section to wait for an escort. Now let's take a look at what happens when you head southbound. At this point you are on the M25, but it's now stopped being M25 as now being the A282, and it heads along to the bridge. You get this section here, which is just used for bicycle pickups. In fact, if you want to go over the Dartford crossing and you don't want to pay, simply bring a bike, because all vehicles have to pay. And if you're on foot, you have to use the public service bus, which charges. But if you bring a bike, you can go across for free. So our bikes are not discriminated against. They have to provide a free pickup where a little van comes along and you put your bike in the back. Meaning that no matter what sort of bike you have, even if it's a shitty little toddler's balance bike, you have the right to go across the crossing for free. But if you turn up on foot without a bike, you cannot go across the crossing for free. It's so weird. So then, after you've passed the bike pickup, you then go across the bridge and over to the other side of the river. Now we're going to take a look at what happens when the bridge is shut. Because this gets complicated, because when the tunnels are shut, only one of the 2 tunnels will be shut at once, so you can always head northbound. And as for a bridge, it's very rare for a bridge to shut, because usually they can partially shut it. It's a 4-lane bridge, and usually they close 3 of the 4 lanes every night, so maintenance can happen on either side of the bridge without closing the entire bridge. But every now and then, the entire bridge has to shut. So what happens to all of the southbound traffic? Well, one of the 2 Dartford tunnels, the eastern tunnel, is converted from being northbound to southbound. So let's take a look at what happens. So you're heading south, you head along to the Dartford crossing, then you go along to this bit of road here. People heading southbound who normally head to the bridge are then moved across to heading the wrong way down the northbound lanes to the eastern tunnel. If you've got a hazardous vehicle, you have to have an escort. Normally when heading southbound, you don't need an escort because an escort is not needed for the bridge, but it is needed for the tunnel. But if the bridge is shut, you now do need an escort to head southbound when you don't normally. Well, this bicycle pickup point can double up as a point where the escort operates from. So dangerous vehicles need an escort go along here, go down this road here, then they have to cross over an active street. I'm guessing they put temporary traffic lights on that. This then goes underneath the Dartford Bridge, which is shut, and it goes along here to this point here, which is the escort pickup point. And then when the escort vehicle arrives, the escorted dangerous vehicles then also merge onto the eastern tunnel. Right then, let's now see this in practice. So the Dartford Bridge is shut and I'm heading southbound along to the Dartford crossing. I get to these signs here. The left 3 lanes have red X's because they're shut. The right hand lane has a 90-degree arrow. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen this 90-degree arrow before, because normally when the road's closed they put on a 45-degree arrow, but on this rare example it's a 90-degree arrow. I then turn off of the southbound road and I'm now heading across on this little emergency access road here to now heading south the wrong way on the northbound road. I now reached a point where the escort pickup is. At this moment in time, the dangerous vehicles were being picked up by the escort, so all of the cars had to stop to wait for the escort to happen. If I pause the video here, notice there's 2 red X's to stop all traffic because the escort is currently departing. When heading northbound, there's a full set of traffic lights and a barrier to go down to make sure traffic doesn't crash into the escort. But because the escort is so rarely used southbound, I haven't put in the barrier. And knowing how often some car drivers drive through red X's, I imagine one day a car driver will just smash into the escort, to be honest. So then the red X is now changed to green arrow, and the rest of this video will be done behind the escort as I'm now following the escorted vehicles. So then I'm now entering into the tunnel. Now I'm just going to pause the video here and notice the words painted on the road. These are painted the other way round, as this marking is just for vehicles driving in the correct direction. And notice that at this point there's some more words painted on the road saying keep clear. This is because this is an expansion gap, and when there's heavy traffic and you're forced to stop in the tunnel, you don't want to be stopped with your wheels either side of the expansion gap. Notice that these words are painted both ways around, so both regular traffic can see them and traffic driving the wrong way can see them. And at this point I'm now exiting the tunnel. Interestingly, notice I've also put the charging signs up facing the wrong way, so on the rare occasion that people are driving through a tunnel the wrong way, they can still see that they're being charged for using the tunnel. Interestingly, notice that these charging signs use the congestion sign C symbol, despite the fact this is not part of the congestion charge. This is a separate charging scheme called the Dart charge. This charge happens from 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the evening, or at least it does when heading north. When heading south, because the charging happens on the south side and it takes 5 minutes to make the crossing, the charging actually finishes at 9:55 in the evening, of the point when you're starting the crossing. And at this point I'm now going across the lane that's normally just used for emergencies to switch back from running the wrong way on the northbound side to driving the correct way on the southbound side.
네, 나중에